everybody, it's Liliana Rowena, and I don't know how the lighting is, but this is how I want to film this video, and if it ends up being mostly sound, that's okay. So today, I wanted to talk about body positivity and its very unique relationship to the Lolita Fashion community. First off, I want to talk about what the heck is body positivity, because at this point, I'm very confused. Honestly, and I don't really know 100% where I stand on it, depending on who I'm talking to. I very much like the idea in theory, but I feel like I'm not educated enough to actually know what anyone is talking about when it comes to it. And I just want to start this video off with that disclaimer. So I'm going off of my own ideas and what I have seen. I feel like I kind of fall into a bizarrely neutral camp on this one. Lolita Fashion in the alternative sphere seems to have a very, very unique relationship to body positivity, or at least what I think of as body positivity, or at least body neutrality, where there seems to be kind of these two very different ideas coexisting at the same time in the Lolita Fashion community. For example, Metamorphose is making plus size options for the first time in ever. Lady Sloth and a bunch of indie brands have made it more and more common for there to be much more size inclusivity in their sizing. However, a lot of the big brands still haven't changed their stick-thin designs. And there's nothing wrong with if you're naturally skinny. Let me say that. Like, if you are naturally a very thin person, or have even the body type to fit into some of the more uniquely cut angelic pretty dresses, that's awesome. But it seems like there is this pressure in not only just Lolita Fashion, but the Kawaii community as a whole, to be as small as possible, while simultaneously having large parts of the community pushing for more inclusive representation and sizing. I think it's really interesting to see how this is. For example, when I got posted on Behind the Bows, my weight got brought up. It just did. However, immediately underneath that, somebody was like, hey, don't fat shame her. It was very odd. It was an odd experience reading that. And I think it comes to me like a really unique thing, because I think by Lolita standards, I would definitely be considered plus size. However, by Western standards, following the definition of mid-size, as in people who can either shop at the high end of straight sizing or at the low end of plus size, not like 6 or 8s, I'm talking like 12 through 18 kind of sizing, that type of mid-size, I kind of fall in a very unique space in the middle, where even I sometimes can squeeze myself into some brand pieces. However, almost none of my brand pieces fit comfortably. And that's definitely affected my self-esteem in the past. Or seeing something that you're just 10 centimeters too big to fit into can be really frustrating. And I feel like that's something that a lot of people who are in Lolita Fashion can relate to. I think that we've kind of reached an interesting place as a community where there are people who are just so ready to go, so ready to have all of the different sizes and options available to everyone, and people who are still just clinging to this idea that to be kawaii, you have to make yourself as little and take up as little space as possible. Which I think is a shame, especially considering that by the rules of character design, things that are rounder are cuter. Just wanted to put that out there. If you are rounder, you are just, according to the human brain, cuter. Just want to put that down there. Like, it's a unique space that I've kind of seen happen, and I think it's kind of a neat phenomenon, and I can't wait to see how the community is going to react to this, because it just seems like this really strong push-pull. Like, when people get posted, their weight still gets brought up a lot. Like, people get fat-shamed in the Lolita community all the time. Not in public, usually, but it's around. You can see it. And it is awful, because this is supposed to be like a fashion about embracing yourself and who you are. And I think that's a good thing. It's just so interesting to me that this kind of idealistic, hyper, like, view of what somebody in this fashion should look like is still so strong and with us today. There's definitely a lot more, like, Lolitas of color who are not just Asian or white, like, around. Definitely, you can see a large range of body types now, but there's still, like, this kind of prevailing ideal that kind of seeps through the community. And if you don't feel that pressure, thank you, please let us know. How do you do that? How do you do that? Because we would appreciate knowing how to avoid feeling that way, because it doesn't feel good to feel inadequate or like you have the wrong body type for something that you love. Like, for example, at the moment, my whole thing with body positivity is that, you know, I feel like I deserve to get to have clothes that fit and feel beautiful at any size. I do believe in a healthy weight range. However, I do think that the BMI is kind of broken, because of a hilarious conversation I had with my doctor. I have a bust that is way too big for a small frame. Diabetes runs in my family, and I asked about it because I was kind of concerned. And I was like, hey, do I need to lose weight? My doctor was like, you might want to lose body fat, but not weight. And I was like, okay, what do you mean? They're like, you might want to start weightlifting, because if I were to lose weight, I would probably hurt my back. Because my back doesn't hurt currently. Because my boobs are, like, right now a quarter of my body weight. And she's like, that's probably gonna hurt your back, so build muscle. And I was like, okay. And also, the BMI was not based on a large sample of people, so it's just not always helpful. But at the same time, I still want people to be healthy. So I think, like, if you follow a healthy, relatively healthy lifestyle, wherever your body ends up being, cool. That's how I feel about it. Like don't abuse your body, but at the same time, I also kind of wonder about, like, feeling like people owe us health. Like, this goes into my more nuanced thoughts, unrelated to Lolita, related to the body positive movement, which is like, to what extent do I agree and disagree? And I have a really hard time with it, because I'm like, well, I do think it's important for people to be healthy, but, like, am I entitled to another person's health? No, I'm not, but I would still want somebody to kind of, like, if they had kids or people to take care of, to try to, like, take care of themselves. Anyways, I don't think I'll come to a conclusion on that one in this video. But yeah, I've also seen that it seems like people recovering from eating disorders is really common in this community. I can't think of any specific examples, but I've definitely seen it around being talked about. Like, it's an issue, I think, because of that ideal, and I'm really proud of our community for working so hard to expand the definition of what a beautiful princess can look like, because she can look like anyone. And I think that's really important. I think that it's really good that things have been pushing forward, and also just different body types should be important. It should be considered cute as well. As somebody with a large bust, it's been hard for me to kind of want to feel cute, because oftentimes, and one of the things that kind of led me to this very modest fashion is because of my body, I would often feel just instantly sexualized. Especially in high school with high school dress codes. I would just be wearing a regular tank top, and I would get dress coded. And it was hot, and I just wanted to wear a tank top, and it's just how it would fit my body. And I often would feel really kind of ashamed of the shape of my own body, and the fact that people couldn't just look at me and see a person because of how I am just naturally made, especially because back then I had not thickened to the point where I look proportionate. I was not proportionate in high school. I was 125 pounds still and had triple D's, which for a lot of people would have been the dream, but it was not a good experience on a lot of levels. And so when I found Lolita Fashion, it meant the world to me that I could still express myself in a feminine way, and I could be just a person or a princess. I didn't have to instantly be seen as just an object. I might be otherworldly, but I'm real. And that's one of the things that I feel like this fashion can give to us. However, a lot of the times when you see models for Lolita Fashion, they're very small and have very flat chests. And clearly a ton of these dresses are not designed for people who have chests. And that's been my biggest complaint with the fashion, is that it's often hard to find flattering cuts and fits for people who are curvy. It's become more and more common in recent years, and that makes me so happy to just see our fashion develop and grow. And I hope that even if there is sometimes a little bit of backlash, we can keep pushing against it and kind of keep having this happen. I also know that we are not the only alternative subculture that deals with this. I know that wanting to look super thin has been an issue that has prevailed the Western Gothic community for years. Oh no, a bow came off. Oh well, I'll fix that. The Western Gothic community for years as well, and also racism too. Like, wanting to make sure that everybody... Let me regather my thoughts here. I think it's really interesting, and I kind of want to know why in alternative spaces that are meant to give you more freedom from societal norms sometimes seems to hyper create them. Like, again, in the Lolita Fashion community, it's supposed to be an expression outside of the norm, and sometimes there's even more restrictive beauty ideals within it. Same thing with the goth community. These are the only two communities I know a lot about, but I'm sure these aren't the only ones. Yeah, and I don't really have an answer for why my alternative spaces do that. If you have any theories, please, like, let me know down below. Well, I should probably continue with this chore with a bit more focus. Thank you all for listening to my thoughts on this. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Liliana Rowena.